Howdy guys, this is Sojin, or Steve, whoever you could prefer. Now you know how to pronounce my user tag name online. Well, what I decided to do today is do an install video of the Phantom Supercharger, electric supercharger. There it is right there. That's the beastie. And I'm going to do a step-by-step instructions. As you can see, I already removed pretty much all the batteries, all the cables and everything, except for the controller, which is right here. I'm going to leave that in the stock location just to save myself some time. I removed everything else. So just follow along. I'm going to go step by step through the entire install instructions and help everyone out. So hopefully this helps you out. Thank you very much, guys. Alright, here we are. Time for step one. Now, just to give everyone a heads up, I just got Invisalign today, and my voice sucks because I'm lisping like crazy because I'm not used to these aligners. So if you hear any weird hisses, that's my fault. I'm not used to these Invisaligners. So here we go. Step one says to assemble the 24 volt pack. If you have the 1.0 pack, what you're going to do is actually take two batteries, and these are actually the PS12180NB. You're going to get two of these, as you can see. Here's two. And what we need to do is, the first thing, we need to connect the connectors of this guy. Now, you want to make sure you do the connectors first, so that way you don't create a circuit. So we're going to connect that right here and use the supplied bolts with the battery. Okay, as you can see, we have the connectors already done on this side. Now, if you were only doing the 1.0 pack, what you're going to want to do is go ahead and connect the copper piece onto the back side of the batteries. However, since I'm doing a 1.5 pack, what we need to do is assemble that, and we're not going to attach the copper piece just yet. We're going to do that after we're done with the 1.5 pack. So let's go ahead and start setting that up. Now, as you can see, I've already taped these together and they're on their side, and you want the connectors, whoops, sorry about that, you want the connectors pointing up on both sides. And then what you're going to do is attach the 1.5 pack upgrade to the top, like so. And you're going to want to tape this down. Now, I've only taped the two side batteries together, and I've just realized you also have to tape the top as well. So we're going to do that right now. Okay, so went ahead and taped that together, and we're good to go there. Now, we also have to take our 24 volt dump pack, our main dump pack, and we're going to need to tape these together. I've always been just using regular old electrical tape on this. Seems to work fine. I know you can use duct tape or whatever, gaffer's tape, whatever you need, but this is working great for me, so I'll keep using this. So what I'm going to go ahead and do really quick is tape this one up really quick together. I'm going to tape these two together. We have is the 12 volt starter battery, which is over here. Now, I'm not going to disconnect all these pieces together since I've already done this once before. Well, let me explain what you have to do. First things first, what you want to do is connect the brass fitting to the positive side of the terminal, which is underneath there, and then you attach the lead fitting that Rob should be giving you for both of this. Now, and that tightens down, and I just hand tighten this because it's pretty solid in there. And then, now, you have a lead that goes through your actual battery holders here. Now this is the 1.5 pack holder, top holder, and I've already run it through, and it's attached to my battery connector. Now, if you're doing an upgrade from the 1.0 to the 1.5, you reuse this negative lead from the 1.0 pack. Now, if you're one of the early adopters, like myself, you are going to have to resolder this connection in order to reuse the lead. That's a little bit of a pain in the butt. If you need help, I can give you separate help on that. But if you're any of the newer retail kits, which is probably about 95% of you out there, you just slide this connector out. You just disconnect it from the battery, from your 1.0 pack starter, slide it out of the cover top, and you're good to go. And then you just slide it into the new 1.5 battery pack holder and reconnect it to the negative. So this is actually my starter battery. It's ready to go. It's probably the easiest step out of all of them, unless you're doing the original OG 1.0 packs to 1.5 packs. But that's not the majority out there. All right. So that's the starter battery. So brass fitting connector, connect the lead battery connector. Then you have the lead, the negative lead that goes through the top of the battery holder, I should say. Excuse me. All right. There you go, and that's the same for the 1.5 or the 1.0, it's just a different holder on the top. All right, now the next step, I can't really show that well because I've already modified my car, but this is the intake box that we have here. What you're going to need to do is remove this. There's going to be 3 bolts. First one's down here. This is on the driver's side. Down below, right next to like the oil cap right here. Oh, excuse me, right here. So it's down below that. And you're going to take out 3 bolts. So that bolt. 2 bolts. That bolt and this bolt. There used to be 3 with the little resonator that was here, that connects between here and here, but we've removed the resonator. And so there's only 2 bolts holding this in, and you want to disconnect those 2 bolts, take out, and the third one, which would be this one over here, and take out the entire intake. Don't forget to remove the mass airflow sensor. There's just 2 screws holding in Phillips screwdrivers. Alright, once you're done with that, what you're going to want to do is remove the resonator. Now the resonator usually appears here, and I think I actually have one set aside here, so let me go grab that really quick. Okay, well actually I don't have the resonator, but I'm going to show you the regular intake that we do have here. So this is your typical intake right here for the car. Now what we're going to do, you want to make sure that you remove the bolts to remove this from here and here, and from the airbox. We're going to remove all these, and then what you're going to be left with is a sound generator that goes all the way over here and up this way. It connects, I believe, right here and over here. Oop, there's my grim speed. Over here, and then it goes down into the firewall somewhere back there. You're going to want to go ahead and just remove this sound generator. There's really no point in having it. I'm not a big fan of extra weight, and just go ahead and just remove that and you'll be good to go. It's going to free up a lot of space, makes the engine bay look a lot cleaner. So back to the resonator now and the airbox. So what you're going to want to do is remove the resonator that exists right here, and it connects to over here. What you're going to need to use is a drill, a small drill bit, drill out the rivets that are connected here, and then Rob gives you this nice cap and belt, whatever you call these, this fastener, let's just call it that, this fastener, and you're going to remove that resonator just by drilling it out and attaching this cap and the fastener. Nice, quick, easy. It's probably one of the hardest parts of this entire install. Please be careful. The rivets do get hot when you're drilling them out, and it makes it, you just want to take your time with it. I started with a smaller drill bit and then went to a bigger one, and to slowly progress through it, so that way I wouldn't worry about damaging the airbox. This is my second airbox that I've used. These are very, very fragile, so be careful with them. You drop them at all and they do crack and they fall apart, so be careful with these guys. You know, you don't want to spend another 50-60 bucks trying to find a new one. So just as a recap, on the airbox, what you're going to want to do is remove the intake here to here. There's just 2 fasteners holding that on, plus your cold start. And once you remove that, you're going to also want to remove the mass airflow sensor and the 3 bolts. The one that it has right here, here, and down there. Remove those 3 bolts, remove the airbox, and go ahead and remove the resonator by drilling out the rivets. Then put on the cap and the fastener. So that's the cap of that section. Back to here. So after you've reinstalled the airbox, now it's time to actually install the actual supercharger. So let's go ahead and over here and grab this bad boy. And you want to have some finesse here. You don't want to really force this in. Let's move the. Sorry. All right. You want to have some finesse here. Really don't want to force this in. You want to take your time with this. Make sure everything goes in correctly. Now, if you notice here, the airbox is kind of loose. That's fairly common. Don't worry about it. Once you get this supercharger in and fastened correctly, it's going to really strengthen this up. So I need 2 hands for this, so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Alright, so I went ahead and installed the supercharger. You have this fastener right here. Ooh, gotta love my S's right now. And this fastener right here. And go ahead and just double check these fasteners as well. Make sure that they're tightened down. That way you don't have to worry about anything. Go ahead and reconnect the mass airflow sensor. And make sure everything's nice and tidy. And as you can see, once it's in, it's fairly strong. Now, as you can see, I already have my controller box already in. Like I said before, I didn't want to remove it. Right now, so I don't forget, I'm going to go ahead and connect the drag reduction. Now, this little nipple right here, the brass nipple, attaches to the drag reduction sensor. So that's what this guy right here is for. I'm going to go ahead and connect that. Now, make sure you pay attention to this. You don't want this to get onto anything that's metal to melt, because this is just a simple tubing. And just make sure that it's on top of everything, and use some zip ties to fasten everything into place to make sure everything's in a good spot. And that's going to go over to the controller over here, which is bolted on to a nice little spot right here that makes it nice and simple. Follow what Rob's instructions. You actually slide the bolt in from the bottom and tighten from the top. Makes it a lot easier. And I also forgot, right here you're going to want to remove from the cold air start the elbow that is here normally, and you're just going to use a straight in to the supercharger here. So make sure that you remove that, tighten that out, slide it in, and tighten it down right here. And it's nice and easy, no problems. Alright, and if you haven't done so already, you're going to want to remove the stock battery. There are two bolts that are on the top here that hold the battery down, and then you have the stock tray below. This is actually the modified tray that Rob gives you with the 1.5 pack. Nice and sturdy. I like it a lot more than the stock battery holder. You're going to want to remove the positive side first, and then the ground. Always, want to always remove the chances of short circuits first, so make sure you remove that side first. And remove the stock battery. Now what we're going to start doing after you've installed the controller box here, it's just kind of sitting here, nice and in the nice spot right there, as if it's made for it. We're now going to go ahead and start installing batteries. So go ahead and start getting your first things first. Get your dump pack and install that. That's going to go on the far left of the battery tray. So I'm going to go ahead and install that. Paying close attention, you'll notice that my dump pack does not have the brass connector connected yet. I'm going to wait until after I've installed my 1.5 pack to install that connector to play it safe with electricity. That's what Rob recommends. It's also what I recommend. So if you're doing the 1.5 upgrade, don't connect the connector yet. You're going to be doing that later. And then, but if you're only doing the 1.0 pack, go ahead and before you put the dump pack in, go ahead and connect the connector, the brass connector, into those two spots. Next step for the 1.5 pack people is to go ahead and go ahead and install your half pack. This is already in. Just to make my life a little easier, I'm going to go ahead and connect the 1.5 pack bullet connectors. These only exist with the 1.5 pack, and it's with the actual connector here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick. Now that the 1.5 pack is done and it's actually connected here, I'm going to go ahead and install the starter battery. If you did get the 1.0 pack and not the 1.5, which if you can't tell, I highly recommend the 1.5 pack, you are going to just be using the stock battery tray. I forgot to say that earlier. You only get the upgraded battery tray with the 1.5 pack. So let's go ahead and grab our starter battery and install that. As you can see, I have my starter battery in as well as the cover, but I forgot to install this nice little cover that comes with the 1.5 pack. I'm not sure if this comes with the 1.0 pack, but I do know it comes with the 1.5, and this actually slides underneath the battery holder, so I'm going to go ahead and install that. The truth is, for the 1.5 pack owners, now is the time to go ahead and connect that connector. As you can see, I've taken the plastic piece that slides underneath, pushed it all the way forward. There should be enough gap here to do this, and you're going to want to go ahead and connect the connector back there. Here's the brass fittings, and just use the supplied battery fasteners. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Alright, so I got those connectors in now. Now what you're going to want to go ahead and do is go ahead and fasten down the battery to the factory stock location. You're going to actually use the stock fastener right here, and go ahead and torque that down. Okay? The longer side goes to the front and the shorter side goes on the back. Okay, so I went ahead and connected the fastener. By the way, if you haven't bought one of these guys before, these Craftsman pass-through wrenches are fantastic. I'm not trying to sell anything or anything right now, but they're great. They work great on the suspension parts where you have to send through a Allen wrench in order to hold them in place. These bad boys are great, so they're not that expensive from Craftsman. Recommend them. Anyways, go ahead and connect the negative and the positive battery terminals now. That's going to be an 8. Okay, went ahead and connected the terminals. I did not tighten those down. And the reason I didn't tighten them down is what I need to do is from the controller box, you do have two connectors in the loom. And what you're going to do is go ahead and connect that to either side of the battery. Go ahead and undo that bolt on either side of the battery terminal, the poles, and you're going to screw these in. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So right here and right there. Hopefully you can see that. For the next part is actually the hardest part, of my opinion, of the entire install process, and that's installing the activation switch for the electric supercharger. Here's my car, and we're going to go inside the car really quick. And let me turn on my cell phone light so we can see this. So, as you see there, right here, we have a throttle activation switch. It's similar to what you'd see in a NOS setup with throttle control activation, throttle activation. So what we have here is the switch that we're going to need to run. Now, I have one of the original kits where you don't actually have the fuse box connections. I actually had to add a relay in order to have the auto on-off. So I only have a couple wires coming off of this. What I did was I ran it. If you look over here to the right, there's this nice little gap. You can kind of see it there, where I run the wires through. You can pull the wire through there to the passenger wheel well. You're going to want to do that. So we have the switch there, and it goes through the passenger wheel well there. You need like a long bar or a pull-through bar to get it through. You can also remove the radio and get some much more clearance, but you can probably figure out a way to do it. It's not that bad. Part of the connection process also for the throttle control is going to be the on-off switch, manual on-off switch, plus your voltage reading. Now, I went ahead and installed mine right here next to the gauges. I know a couple other people like N-Low who have attached it right here because they no longer use their connectors for their head unit. They actually did an aftermarket install. I also did an aftermarket install. I have a Nexus 7 installed in my car, plus a few other modifications here in the car, as you can see. So I still use that connection, so that's why I liked it right there by the gauge cluster. And also, since I've actually plasti dipped my my dash, I can't actually attach. It's just not very sticky for my voltage reader, so I had to put it there. That's actually up to you where the heck you want to put it at. Feel free to put it wherever you want. I know some have put it over here, so you know it's the reach is long enough that you can put it in a convenient spot for yourself. The main thing is that the connections for the controller box plus the fuse box have to go through below. Okay, so I incorrectly said that the fuse box was in the passenger wheel well, but actually it's in the driver's side wheel well. Here it is right here. So the auto on-off fuse tap is going to be under here. So you're going to run the wire from here, and there's some connections underneath here, underneath the dash. Just kind of route it the best way you can. Use zip ties when needed. You know, zip ties are my best friend, so I always use them for everything. Just go ahead and remove that fuse box right there. So I'm gonna look. It's upside down here in the driver's side wheel well. So that's where the fuse tap is for the auto, and then the connection to the controller box is going to go through there. So we're going to go ahead and route your wire through there and go to the passenger wheel well. So let's go over to the other side. So here we are in the passenger wheel well, and you can see my wire here. Let's go try to get this going. Right here, that's the wire to the controller box inside the engine bay. Now, if you pull back the carpet right here a little bit, you'll see, and I got a little bit right here. That is actually right here. You'll see a little grommet. Now that grommet right there originally was for the sound tube. Now that you remove the sound tube, now you have a perfect spot to route your wires for the control box. So what you're going to want to do is send your connector through there, and that will go into the engine bay through the firewall. Now all the way down here, whoops, almost lost my cell phone. All the way down here is the wire grommet, or excuse me, the wire that's coming through the grommet and through the firewall into the engine bay. Now from this point on, you should have a loom. You're going to go ahead and route it up this way and attach it up here to the other. I have my own loom here to kind of keep everything a little bit more nice and tidy, and that runs into the controller box. A lot of these extra wires that we have here is due to the fact that I have a relay connected, so yours probably will look a little cleaner, and I'm going to go ahead and connect that now to the controller box. If you look at your controller box, you'll see this extra connector here. A lot of people freak out saying, hey, I don't have a connector for this connector. Don't worry, this is actually an upgrade path that is not released yet, but this will actually be for the auxiliary charger if it passed beta testing. Right now, only 2 people, I believe, have the auxiliary charger, and they are the ones utilizing this connector. So this is for a future upgrade path. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is connect the wires to the electric motor. which is right here. These are pretty straightforward. They come from the controller box and they go to the electric supercharger. They're color coded, nice and simple. Just go ahead and connect those. Alright, after that's all said and done, you're going to want to go ahead and connect your main dump pack wire to the control box right here, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. Also, you need to connect your drag reduction, if you haven't already, to the electric supercharger and back down to the controller box. Use zip ties as needed for all this. You don't want to keep it nice and tidy, alright? Okay, if this is installed right, now our battery should start, our car should start right up. Alright, and you should get a charge. Now, each person's a little different on this battery charge. Okay, let's try that again. Sorry about that, my default head unit decided to switch over to radio. So let's go ahead and start it again. Alright, now, like I was saying before, let's go ahead and turn that back on. Each person's battery reading is going to be slightly different. As you can see, mine's at 28.1. I actually swapped out one of my batteries just now. I had some newer ones, so I decided just to put those in. So this will charge up over time. Don't worry about it. As long as you're above 28, you should be good. Anywhere from 28.1 to 28.9 is fairly common. As you can see, it's already charging itself up. So now is the time to go ahead and play. So go ahead and enjoy it. That's the complete install video. You want to make sure that your activation switch is about 70% throttle, give or take. Enjoy your placement. Every person is slightly different. So hopefully this helps you out, guys, and I'll see you guys on the boards. Alright, as you can see, I've already activated the ESC, the Phantom ESC, and as you can see, it's charging up slowly because I have the 1.5 pack. That's a regular charge. This is actually a little slower since some of the batteries are new. And then you'll hear a slight click, if you pay attention, where the speed, where you can actually hear it kick in, and you might hear a little bit of a whoosh, which is kind of neat. And as I go ahead and make a U-turn here, it's fairly common use here. So I think that's now for real. That's it, guys. So enjoy yourself. Have a good one.